Welcome friends, it's Ray. Thank you so much for joining me today. I want to kick off my holiday card making with a quick and easy card. This card is easy for assembly style and mass producing. And within the video, I am going to show you at least 8 ways to add texture to simple cards. Now, today's card uses a Spellbinders layered Christmas tree stencil. It's an 8.5 by 11-inch stencil. It has the base Christmas tree, and then it has the detailed layer to add to the base. And then it has the star in the detail, and it has the ornaments here, and then you can do your background in snow if you want it to. And beside each of the 3 you have these side dots, and those are for lining up. You can put a light pencil mark that you can later erase so that it makes it easier for these to line up. My card today is a 5x7 A7 card. I've placed my a piece of cardstock on my Altenew grid mat, and then my stencil over top, and kind of pressed it in on the sides, and so then the mat will hold that down so there's no shifting. So for this first layer, the base layer, I am just going to come in lightly with my evergreen bough in Distress Oxide ink, and using what was on my brush. I did not add any ink at this point because I want a light base. Okay, and that is because I'm also going to use this for my detail layer. So the lighter here in this first step, the better. Okay, going around the edges and darkening the edges. So I did bring in a little more ink from my ink palette. I like the way that looks, and now I am going to line up the second layer, and this is my detail layer, and then I'm going to come in heavy with my brush and my evergreen bough to add those details in that, or highlighting. Beautiful. With this next step, I'm using some glitter paste, and I am just placing just a little on my palette here, and taking a little back because I thought that I had too much, and am using press and seal on the inside to keep that as moist as possible. And now I'm bringing in my Distress Reinker in Candied Apple, and added just 1 drop of that to my glitter paste, and mixing that on my palette. And then I bring that in stencil number 3, the ornaments, and line that up, and then add my red or candied apple red glitter paste through that stencil. Wow. Now I'm going to set this aside to let it dry. Next, I'm going to cut some layers in red and green, just to add some more dimension and texture to this design. And I'm bringing in my Distress Oxide ink in Candied Apple Red because the red cardstock that I have is a little light. I want it to be darker. I also want it to match the rest of the design. So I'm going to do the same thing with my green layer, after I get that cut, I am going to come in with my Distress Oxide and Evergreen Bow and deepen the colors around the perimeter of this rectangle. And here I am going to trim my focal panel down to 3 1/4 by 5 1/4 inches. So I'm going to make sure I center my image. I'm going to dry emboss my red mat with my Spellbinders in the Pine 2D embossing folder, and this mat is cut to 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. A pause for random thoughts and questions. Hashtag RTQ. Is there a difference between the words splatter or spatter? Do you care? I tend to lean towards splatter, but sometimes I might say spatter. Just curious. Let me know in the comments your preference, your thoughts on it, or any other random thoughts and questions you have. Be sure to use the hashtag RTQ. I'm adding a bit of Alta New Antique Gold Re-Inker and a little bit of water. And now I'm going to bring my focal panel in and just splatter, spatter, splatter it. And I do the same with my red embossed mat. Right about here is where I remembered that I did not add my star to the top of my Christmas tree. So I'm bringing my stencil back in, and I'm going to use my Versa marker to add watermark ink to my star area, and then I will come back in with some gold embossing powder and emboss that. I have partially released a release tape or release paper on my double-sided tape, and then for those exposed areas I've added liquid glue so that I have ample time to get my focal image positioned on my green mat. And am going to do the exact same thing for adding the green matted image to my red mat. Added foam tape to the back of my red mat, and will partially release the release paper and add the liquid glue, same as I did for my other layers, and get that positioned directly on my card base. I picked a sentiment from the Ideology Christmas 2023 sticker book. And we'll use my T-square ruler and the lines on my mat to line up my sentiment. I did pop it up on foam tape. I did use my anti-static powder bag on the back of my sticker before adding my foam tape, just to remove that stickiness. Love all the dimension and texture, shine, the sparkle, and I decide not to add any embellishments. I think I've got enough going on with this card. Let's talk further in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you liked the video and will give me a thumbs up and subscribe if not already a subscriber. Until next time, good day, friends.